Dogfish Head Brewery, Sam Calagione.
It's been a long, strange, but wonderful trip.
From the Boston Beer Company, Jim Cook. Welcome back to the Friday Beer Buzz, Jim.
Well, it's nice to be back.
They're normally from Aberdeenshire in Scotland. From Brewdog, we have James Watt and Martin Dickey. Welcome to the show, guys.
Biggest mission today is just to make other people passionate about your state's craft beers as we are.
And now, the three-time winner of the Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasters Excellence in Broadcasting Award. The recipient of 2 Pennsylvania Associated Press Broadcasters Association Awards for Excellence, promoting and advancing the craft and microbrew culture in Northeast PA. This is another edition of
The Friday Beer Buzz!
And the Friday Beer Buzz, as always, powered by Sabatini's Pizza and Sabatini's Bottle Shop and Bar in Exeter. Sabatini's with the area's greatest selection of rare craft and imported beers. Growlers and crowlers in 37 rotating drafts at Sabatini's Pizza and Sabatini's Bottle Shop and Bar, Wyoming Avenue in Exeter. Hi, Bill from mybeerbuzz.com.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And Lindo Sabatini here from Sabatini's as always. Hi, Lindo.
Good morning.
Before we get into beer, I'm going to get on just to some of the issues with Sabatini's. Are you having any issues with employing as you're getting back up to snuff? We hear all these stories of restaurants and places that are having trouble getting all the employees in. How's it going there?
Well, it's the same as everywhere. I mean,
issues?
I was making a joke about it yesterday. I said, I felt like I won the lottery. Somebody actually showed up for an interview.
That's the craziest thing.
It is.
And I'll tell you what, about this kid, I wish I could find more of them, but listen to this. I said to him, if I could hire you, when would you be able to start? He said, well, I'd like to go home and change first.
That's the best answer I've ever heard.
And I said, okay, why don't you do that? So he went home and changed and came back and did a good night. And I said, how many days would you like? He said, well, I'd like at least one day off. If I could work 5 or 6 days, that'd be fine. So, but he's 17, and that's the anomaly. Most of these kids don't want to work like this. So we were happy to get one.
That's a great answer. That's like one of those weird college essays you see get shared around. And then he said something amazing, and everyone I'll always remember that.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
I mean, I've been interviewing these kids for 20 years, and that's the first time anybody said, "Can I change first?"
Oh, that's awesome.
But he was hired as he said that.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
but he was hired regardless.
Are we missing context? Like he was there in a tuxedo, something?
No, he definitely put on nicer clothing to come to his interview.
That's great.
He didn't have holes in his jeans. It was
awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
Love that kid. I don't know, but
all right, Bill from My Beer Buzz back again. Hi, Bill.
Hey, hi. So I have to before we dive into the news here, I have to say from the Lorraine from Hazelton Supporters Club, Jason, Satan worshiping? Come on.
There you go.
I didn't say I supported it. I said you don't know what.
You brought up something, and she was already down.
You don't know what's in someone's head. Is my point.
In the moment of silence, they could have been thinking about beer. You could have said that.
Yeah.
And it could have been anything.
You said something that was antagonistic to poor Lorraine.
I don't even know what's happening sometimes.
I think he's been properly chastised. All right, Bill. Sorry.
Unfairly.
Okay.
Remove the shackles. Free me from. Sorry, Bill. What's going on with beer?
Onward we go. Onward we go. So we'll start with a little holiday beer because it's April and we're almost to Christmas. So coming to us from Rogue, every year we have a little beer called Santa's Private Reserve, and we've done that on the Christmas show. I don't know how many times. We've done it on the regular, December shows a number of times, and this is just one example of how far ahead mybeerbuzz.com is. I have the 2021 Santa's Private Reserve. And Jason, you will actually like this because it is wrestling inspired, and it is on the label. It is actually Santa Claus doing an elbow drop, which I don't know what that is, but I'm going to go with it, on Krampus. And he's doing that because Krampus stole his rum balls. And the beer will be called one of two different things. They have approved two different labels for it, and we'll see which one plays out. But make note of it now. It will either be Kringle Crusher or Royal Rum Ball.
Oh, I like
That's
that one.
Awesome. And I yelled out Mick Foley. I thought because he plays Santa and a lot of things. But I think I saw that. I was on the BeerBuzz website. You share your beer news here. There's so much more beer news you don't get to it, so it's worth going to the website. I just want to say that. So you do a good job with it.
Yeah, I share I share mostly what is classified or categorized or labeled or tagged or hashtagged, or whatever you want to call it, as breaking news on this show.
Right.
But yeah, there are I sort through 300 or 400 different beer labels a day to come up with the best. Sometimes it's 2 or 3, sometimes it's a couple dozen. But that beer in itself will be a rum ball inspired. You could have guessed that. And it will be aged with rum, barrel, chips, and vanilla, 8.3% ABV, and 33 IBU. So watch for that one. We'll have that one on the show, and I'll say, do you remember back in April when I started talking about this? We also have, here's another great example. Dogfish Head is doing something called Lemon Quest. And Lemon Quest appeared on mybeerbuzz.com in November 2020, and the announcement was made this week that beer is coming out. And it is a non-alcoholic beer brewed with lemon, blueberry, acai berries, monk fruit, sea salt, and Hopsteiner polyphenol-rich hop pellets. So there's a mouthful. Try to say all that.
So the normal stuff. Wow, that's a lot.
It's less than 0.5% ABV. It has 90 calories, so it's another one of these beers that falls into that healthy beer category. And if that's not enough good in a beer, it also benefits the Nature Conservancy, which I'm a big fan of. So get out there and buy it. They've just announced it, so it's probably going to roll into Sabs in the next week or so. It is called Lemon Quest. We also have news, and this is acquisition news. And many times when I announce that there is acquisition news, we all kind of hold our breath and say, "Oh no, which one of the craft breweries now has fallen to Anheuser-Busch or Miller Coors or one of the big boys?" And today, it's not that. I'm happy to report that one of the big small guys bought one of the really small guys. And they actually didn't buy the whole brewery. They bought the brand. So Firestone Walker has acquired Cali Squeeze, that's CALI-Squeeze, from Slow Brew, SLO Brew, another California brewery. And this Cali Squeeze brand is a fruit Hefeweizen. It's a wheat beer that has fruit in it. I've tasted it. They were kind enough to send me 4 or 5 different flavors, and I reviewed it on mybeerbuzz.com about 6 or 8 months ago. So Firestone and Walker has acquired the Cali Squeeze brand, so you can expect to see this fruit-flavored wheat beer coming from Firestone Walker. I always ask myself, I don't know why, Firestone Walker can do anything they want. I don't know why they don't just create a fruit-forward wheat beer and go there. But in any case, I think this is good for Slow Brew. This is good for everybody in the craft beer industry. We also have an interesting, this one leans into the edge of craft beer and into whiskey, which, if you know from the John Webster days, we love a good whiskey. The Arrogant Consortia, which is really Stone's Arrogant Bastard division, is teaming up with Foundry Distilling out of California as well. And they are making something called Arrogant Bastard Whiskey. And it will be 97 proof. It has a really cool-looking label. It is made from, as you would expect, it is made from distilled Arrogant Bastard beer. And I think it's going to be a really interesting mix. I'm anxious to try the two side by side, and maybe Linda will make note of that. So on a future show, we'll get the beer and the whiskey side by side.
That sounds good.
Note made.
I was going to say, Arrogant Bastard Whiskey comes with a free fight at 3 a.m. in an alley.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Crazy.
All right, so...
and one last
sure.
little tidbit of news. One last little... I know I put the trailing punctuation on that last one, but one last little tidbit. Avery is coming out with something called the Hop Freaks series. And the very first release in that beer series will be a hazy and juicy IPA that is brewed with Citra, Amarillo, and Azacca hops. It'll be packaged in 12-ounce cans, and at an ABV of 8% ABV, I would say it's more like an Imperial or a double IPA. So watch for that one. That one's still off in the future a little bit. Hop Freak Series number 1. And that's it for our beer news.
And the beer we're having now, all I can tell you is I'm smelling like a smoked kibasi.
Wait, what?
The beer. Did you even drink the beer?
No, I just
Jason, smell the beer.
I will. Before I do that, it's all in.
Yeah.
It looks like it's in German. And I'm like, oh, and then it says the classic smoke beer.
Okay, I didn't even
Yeah.
need to see that, but that's
Whoa,
what. Wait
this
till you
is-
taste it. Taste it.
So I will say today is one of maybe the only times that I'm happy I'm not in the studio for today's beer. I am not a lager fan, first off, and I am not a smoked beer. It's a good beer, and people love it, and people may enjoy it if they've never tried it before. But for me, Nancy, you just hit the nail on the head. As a vegetarian, it tastes and smells like ham or kibasi to me, like a smoked meat kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it just it feels wrong as a vegetarian.
I would love it with a plate of pierogies.
I was saying, on one hand, I think this is something, if you drink beer, you should try. Because it's definitely like one of those. It reminds me of those like Jones sodas where it's like it's a Thanksgiving dinner in a bottle. It's the strangest feeling because it's a strange feeling because you're drinking a beer, but then when you exhale, it tastes like you ate like a generic Slim Jim.
Okay, so the beer, the style is a Rauch beer. All right.
Okay.
And this is Schlenkerla Märzen. This is one of the most iconic Rauch beers there is.
Interesting.
And yes, it comes from Germany, and yes, I can see it scaring some vegans away, but there is no meat. There is no meat in this beer. But I mean, we have had so many people taste this, and people say, "I'm gonna try something different." So we'll pull this out to see the reaction, and we'll let them have it behind the bar or whatever. And they'll be like, "Oh my God, it tastes like a campfire. It tastes like a Slim Jim. It tastes like," and the words they come up with are fantastic. But it is a really unique, good beer to try and share for the reaction, which is why I said this is going to be a fun one today because this is a different beer.
Do you get people that this is their beer, or is it usually, like you said, something where they'll just sample it with others?
There are Rauch beer drinkers that come in because they know we have a decent variety of Rauch beers. This particular brewery, I mean, I think it's hard to beat it. I mean, there's not a lot of breweries that are going to out smoke Schlenkerla.
I want to come up with a stereotype for the person who loves this beer, and I'm going to say it's someone who definitely knows how to chop down a tree.
No.
A hunter?
I have a lady
venison?
that she only drinks Rauch beers, and she just loves the flavors.
And Carla, I meant to say.
Yeah, right. And to me, it's hard to stereotype any beer drinker anymore.
Sure.
I mean, you have young, old,
Sure.
and they all come together. That's fun with the conversations at the bar. They all come together and talk over beer and hang out over beer. But this one, I don't know. It's hard to explain the beer sometimes to people because why would you smoke the malts? So
It's very weird. It's unique and fun.
How do we pronounce this again, just in case anybody did? Well, I would suggest you try it. How do you pronounce this?
Bill?
I always say Aecht Schlenkerla, and it's a Rauch beer Märzen.
Schlenkerla.
That's exactly how I would say it.
Yeah, there's an odd L in there. It's SCHLENKERLA. So there's an odd L in there. And I know people that this is their go-to beer. This is their go-to style. And this is, as Lindo said, this is the king of the Rauch beers or smoked beers. I'll mention a name. I'll throw it out there because I know he posts on Facebook all the time, and he loves this beer. It's our pal Leo Orlandini, formerly of the Lion Brewery. This is one of his go-to beers. It is 5.4% ABV. I've seen some packaging that says 5.1% ABV. It's 30 IBU, so it is reasonably hoppy. And what they do, Jason, is they kiln the barley over beech wood logs, and they do their own malting, which means they make their own malt. It is brewed in copper vessels, and it is matured for months in their 14th century cellar. This place has been in Bamberg, Germany, since 1405. It was originally called At the Blue Lion Pub, and it was owned by the Trum family. And the name, Aecht Schlenkerla, Aecht means real or authentic, and Schlenkerla means like dangling or swinging. And if you look really, really close, there's a little like wax seal on the label, and it has the brewer, and that brewer is Andreas Grosser. And you see he's walking, he has a weird gait. And that was the dangling or swinging leg. They called it limbing walk. And that's where the name, I know, crazy, right? That's where the name comes from.
That's I'll tell you, this is a beer that's got my brain going. Like I've already thought this is a great beer. If you have kids who you think are sneaking beers out of your fridge when you're not there, leave this because they'll stop. And I also came up with a drinking game because I don't think you find people who are like, I just like Coors Light, and you get little shot glasses and everyone gets a Coors Light and everyone's blindfolded except one person gets this. And you do it like hot potato. You keep going around and you eliminate people till it's like Russian roulette with this, and you see who's the beer champion.
I actually find this, I find it interesting. I like this. I can't eat like a lot of smoked foods, and I like the taste of it, but it just doesn't agree with me. So it actually kind of satisfies something that I can't partake in.
I think the beer is fascinating for this reason. It's the only beer probably in the world, or maybe there's others like this, where you can go, wow, I shouldn't have eaten that after you drink it and not have a meal before it. Like you feel like, man, I shouldn't have eaten that. And it's a beer.
Yeah,
It's wild.
One piece of advice I would give for people sampling this, sample it later in the game, because this can put a beating on your palate a little bit. And I don't mean that in a bad way, that it's a bad beer, but I mean it will be hard to taste other beers that are, especially something that's very subtle, if you taste this first.
Right.
So if you're going to taste it sort of later in your sequence.
It's fascinating to me. It's like it tells me you could do anything with beer, and that's really it's amazing.
I've never had it for breakfast before, but it's pretty good for breakfast.
Oh, yeah. Put it next to like some pancakes or something.
Kind of with bacon.
We are drinking and enjoying, and Jason is kind of curious about it. But anyway, it's I hope I say it right. Aecht Schlenkerla Schlenkerla. I'm sorry, I put the wrong emphasis, I guess. Anyway, you can get it at Sabatini's, the Friday Beer Buzz, powered by Sabatini's Pizza and Sabatini's Bottle Shop and Bar in Exeter. Sabatini's, the area's greatest selection of rare craft and imported beers. Growlers and Crowlers, 37 rotating drafts at Sabatini's Pizza and Sabatini's Bottle Shop and Bar, Wyoming Avenue in Exeter. Bye, Bill. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Have a
Bye.
great weekend,
See ya.
Lindo.
Bye.
The Friday Beer Buzz, bringing good beers and good people together.